welcome to Talk to Downtown. My name is Courtney Wood. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Downtown Stockton Alliance, the 501c6 nonprofit property-based business improvement district serving downtown Stockton. This series is intended to connect our business owners, property owners, visitors, and residents with the organizations, people, and resources which impact our community. Today, we have special guest, Esperanza Vielma. She is the Chief Heat Policy Advisor for the Office of New Mayor Christina Fugazi. I'm really excited to talk to Esperanza today about the direction that the mayor would like to take the city and also about her role as the Heat Policy Advisor. So welcome, Esperanza. Thanks so much for being our guest. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do there with the mayor.
Well, good morning and thank you. And I apologize for technical difficulties. Again, my name is Esperanza Vielma, and I'm honored to be here today to talk about our work here at the mayor's office and serving as the first Chief Heat Policy Advisor for the mayor's office. So again, thank you very much.
Awesome. So Mayor Christina Fugazi was just sworn in last week, and you worked very closely with her. What do you think makes Christina such a great fit for that position?
Well, Christina, Mayor Fugazi has, she has insight, her background in education. She's very committed, to youth, starting out, her career. And she has a science background, so she's very data driven. But first and foremost is her heart for community. And that's what's, most important in, trying to get the job done, and especially as a public servant, because I think a lot of times, people can have a technical background, but then they don't necessarily know how to serve the public. And she's very committed to that. And so in working with her on her campaign, that was my commitment, because of the fact that I know that she's not only, driven to help community, but she's result driven, and she's very much, about progress and about innovation, whether it's a person and or an entity, she's very much about data driven and, being with process, but especially she has a big heart for community, and countless stories of, how she's been able to reach and affect and change people's lives. So in terms of the actual campaign, that was important to me when working with her, because I really haven't worked with anyone else, because I feel that a lot of times, like I said, people are lost in the public servant role, but she knows exactly what that is. She's committed to change and to community.
Wonderful. She really does have a heart for Stockton. And can you tell us a little bit, about your background and how you came to work with Christina on this campaign?
Yeah, sure. So my background is I began to work in like nonprofit advocacy sectors, and we had met many years ago. And I have been, I'm from Stockton originally. I went to Stagg High School, and so I grew up in Southside Stockton. So I'm very much familiar with the landscape and what it means to come from an environmental justice community. So I have spent, years doing that. I, from Stagg High School, went on to Delta College, so I understand, transferring then to university, and then so full circle coming back to working and championing the environmental justice component as Environmental Justice Coalition for Water, working on statewide issues that have to do with water, energy, and air, and then most recently having served as a planning commissioner for the city. Served many years as a environmental justice advisory as part of the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. And that's given me a lot of insight as far as what we're able to provide the residents with a lot of the incentives, and working on innovative solutions with the California Air Resource Board at the state level with the community engagement model that's coming out soon. So we'll be announcing that as well. That's with the state, but then obviously it affects us here in Stockton. And so I deeply understand the challenges and also the opportunities that we have, here in Stockton, as far as particularly addressing the climate impacts. And this opportunity was given to me by Mayor Fugazi, who also understands, what is community driven and what is needed and what is critical for us here in Stockton, and to come up with what would be a heat resilience strategy. And it's both timely and essential with everything that's happening here in the state of California.
Yes, especially right now, with all of the fires going on. Yeah, I'm very
Exactly.
interested to hear about the heat policy recommendations that you're going to bring up. So let's talk a little bit about the campaign trail. While you guys were campaigning, what were some of the most common questions and concerns that you were hearing from citizens?
So some of the common questions and concerns were the safety issues that people faced for in terms of their person and or property, and from some of the small business owners. Some of the other things were youth activity, lack thereof. Also, we had concerns about, the illegal dumping, and just in terms of the cleanliness of the city itself. Those were some of the concerns that the citizens that were and then also access to career pathways, and having folks leave the area that are from Stockton, that have to leave to find employment elsewhere. So those were, for the most part, the priorities that the folks were giving us, as far as like what they thought were some of the concerns that they've been facing as community members.
Definitely. So now that the term has begun, what are Mayor Fugazi's, short-term priorities, things that she wants to do right away, and then what are some of her more long-term goals?
Okay, so some of her short-term priorities in terms of getting, you know, what we talked about in terms of the safe, clean, and the different environmental issues. So in terms of the safe component, most recently she's working very hard with our chief of police, and making sure that we're able to onboard additional police officers. And so there's like, those are some immediate changes that are taking place. She also has her Light Up Stockton in terms of the safety issues, to get the most, I guess, pressing issue, and then, most pertinent, to get the basics down. And so the Light Up Stockton component is definitely something that she's working on immediately. Like, we're taking action as soon as she walked into office. And so she's prioritizing the issues that she ran her campaign on. And in terms of long-term strategies, is being to add additional economic development factors, coupled up with the cleanup and the safety issue is not something that's going to be resolved immediately. There's going to be implementation of different components in order to implement those strategies. And so that's going to be a long-term strategy. So it's not just part of like the 30-day plan, but it's going to be a part of, a long extended effort that is going to involve, resolving any issues that, may come up, and as well as implementing a strategy for hiring folks, to serve the city, that are committed to the city, that are part of the community. And so that's some of the components that she has as part of her plan.
Can you talk a little bit more about Light Up Stockton in case anyone listening doesn't know what that is?
Sure. So, what Mayor Fugazi is planning to do is look at our current infrastructure that we have with our streetlights, and seeing what areas, need improvement. we have met with the department, and in terms of giving inventory as to what light fixtures need to be fixed, moving forward on some innovation with some of the solar lights and what does that mean, adding components to that. And then she's starting in the most vulnerable communities in the south end of Stockton, and then moving forward and trying to get all of that infrastructure in place and assisting the staff in whatever capacity that the mayor's office can do so. But she has, the plan to get that basic safety into place. The thing is that where there aren't any streetlights, is trying to be innovative and work with PG&E and try to provide lighting in those areas where there aren't any lights, because obviously the streetlights themselves are very costly, depending on which kind are being put up. But where there aren't any existing ones, to try to find a solution to improve public safety in that manner, and to provide that for the residents. So that's an immediate action she's already taken.
And lighting is so important for our city. Some of those neighborhoods, it can be, if it's really dark, you just don't want to be walking outside if you can't see, what's around you. So that's such a great thing, and it's great that she's starting in South Stockton and then moving up from there. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, what kinds of plans does the mayor have in terms of economic development, or recruiting businesses or retaining businesses?
So in terms of the economic development component, like in terms of a stronger local economy, she hopes to create an environment where businesses, especially small businesses, because the data shows that small businesses are really at the heart of the community, but they also are an economic growth factor for cities and communities such as ours. So to help them thrive, to attract new businesses by creating living wage jobs and supporting entrepreneurship, and helping to revitalize downtown, to help create a vibrant waterfront and commercial centers throughout Stockton, and to increase this the regional competitiveness. There's different components, working with different state initiatives. For example, we have North Valley Thrive that has to do with economic development. So she will be involved with that. I was involved as a steering committee member, and know for a fact that, there are various grant dollars available that can help infuse that economic growth with our small businesses, and attract other businesses to come in as well, because the main thing is to in order for our individual residents to obtain those jobs, is to help support our economic development partners. So she's looking to partner with the WorkNet, the San Joaquin County, with the Green Lab, and with others that are doing similar work, that will be able to, that are already training, individual residents from all walks of life, that can then, serve in the capacity of those businesses that are trying to come to Stockton. And so we have to have those folks that have the skill set to attract those businesses. So doing both on the larger scale and on the smaller scale, to attract new businesses and to support existing businesses.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, some of the partners that she plans to work with. And I'm really excited to see, hopefully, an increase in living wage jobs here in our city. We really need them here. So what are the mayor's plans in terms of homelessness?
So for the homelessness, they're working on, it's a vulnerable community, and there's a lot going on as far as the external factors, but nonetheless, she's working with the county to make sure that there are spaces where people can, go to and have services, whether that's like an open space, where they can do the camping. But obviously, when you say that, it's not just like, open camping, it's actually, something that's structured and that's, handled by the agencies, especially, if it's over overseen by San Joaquin County. And so working with providing that immediate relief housing for the residents, and then to build up whatever else we need as far as long sustainable design for housing, and working with those that provide that, whatever efforts the mayor's office can do to help bring down funding for that is one of the things that, I mean, she's very innovative and very committed to ensuring that this take place. There's for example, there's opportunities also to help, guide our unhoused population, and working with the different organizations that already provide those services, and, getting those organizations to dialogue in order to have, a more cohesive strategy. So there's quite a lot that's on the table for her as far as the commitment to provide relief to our unhoused population, and then working with surrounding cities as well, and looking at what has worked, not just trying to reinvent the wheel, but looking at what's worked in other locations, so lessons learned from other cities. And so she's going to be looking to that, and then our local experts, and getting their input for what are some of the solutions we need to come up with, because sometimes agencies and government don't have the answers. They need to go to the people who are on the ground and working with those community members.
Definitely. It's really important to look for inspiration from those who have lived it, but also to cities that have come up with great solutions. So that's inspiring. I can't wait to see, what you guys come up with on that topic. So the next question I have is about something totally different. It's about the arts. What are the mayor's plans for supporting arts in Stockton?
So again, we do have, actually, there's quite a bit that goes on, but uplifting the current organizations and artists that we do have in Stockton, and then bringing that to the limelight and supporting them in other ways. Is, for example, I know that there's funds that can be obtained to help support individual artists or organizations, and so working with the state and or federal government or other entities to obtain funds to assist our artist community, but uplifting and working with who we currently have, because we actually do have quite a bit as far as different organizations and artists. And I think sometimes we forget that. And so even like with the University of Pacific and the music component that we have there, I think that some of the plans is, I mean, she's always been a supporter of the arts, but in terms of uplifting that, integrating that. There used to be this it was like a lunch hour that the Hagen Museum used to host, and they would bring everyone together. And so then sharing that information to with each other and the public, with those organizations that were providing space for artists like the Catalyst and others that are new, but they understand that there's different outlets that the artists need. And so really engaging at that level with the different organizations and the artists in order to help provide a better space in Stockton and an outlet, and amplifying the arts and integrating them wherever we possibly can is her commitment to the arts.
Beautiful. Yeah, we have so many local artists of all types,
Mhm.
and they do need funding. So it's great to hear that you guys will maybe be pursuing funding opportunities, for those types of programs, and really getting everyone together. That's really important. So the next question I have is about pools in Stockton. So I was at the swearing in, and this was the topic that came up, during that meeting. Christina spoke about our city's pools. It really would be great to have more low-cost pool options, or even an aquatic center, because Stockton gets so hot during the summer, as you know. So can you tell us, what are the mayor's plans for our community pools?
So as far as like the community pools, currently the ones that we do have in place, she most definitely, would is going to be asking for, input from the community members as far as what does that look like, and what can we do to better serve the community with the community pools that we have, whatever type of infrastructure changes or retrofits needs to happen to the pools to make them accessible. That's something that she most definitely, will be working on. In addition to looking for funding to have an aquatic center and having that commitment, to the residents of Stockton. As far as the access is one of the things that's very important to her. So finding a way to obtain funds in order to provide, our community members free access to the pools, because I remember, especially growing up in South Stockton, that there was like one swimming pool and you couldn't really swim in it. You had to stand because it wasn't like there was a lot of room. Everybody was standing, in the
Oh,
pool, because of the heat factor. So very different, from one side of the town to the other. And so I think she wants to, for a fact, create accessibility,
yes.
and then having, because she is an educator, she wants to make sure that folks learn how to swim, and they have, a safety lessons that go along with swimming lessons, of course, but safety is going to be a key factor in, not just creating access, but creating swimming lessons and safety with water, because since we are surrounded by water, it's very important. And you have one of our local heroes, that they've been, providing services, but that's, after the fact, with drowning, so doing a
Mhm.
prevention thereof. And so her vision and goal, I think, will go a long way in not only creating access but safety for individual residents who normally don't have access to that they don't have access to the swimming pools. And so, but and long term, like we talked about, is having that aquatic center, and so then having that commitment and obtaining funds for the aquatic center.
Wonderful. This is just so exciting. I cannot wait to see the results of the work that you will do on this subject. And an aquatic center would be great. I would be advocating for it to be in downtown. That would be awesome. But
Right.
anywhere in the community would be good. So
Exactly.
yeah, speaking of water, uh, the downtown Stockton waterfront, it's ripe for development, and you kind of mentioned this earlier. What are the mayor's plans for encouraging and promoting more development of our Delta waterfront?
So in terms of the Delta waterfront, well, first and foremost, the city is going to be moving in soon to the towers there on the waterfront. So that immediately, I think, will infuse some of the economic growth, because of the fact that there's going to be, 1,000+ employees that are going to be shopping and eating, and and just basically supporting a lot of the businesses that are in the waterfront. But going back to her, safer, healthier city is, doing the same with the waterfront and trying to ensure that it's accessible to folks, making sure, with the lighting, with the cleanliness, and then, that will then in the essence support and enhance, our current residents there, business residents, but then also to attract, others, and having events, so that people can come out and feel safe, that they have access, to the waterfront, and having an education component as to the historical knowledge of, what it is, what is the waterfront, when did it start, and the history of Stockton, because I think sometimes we focus in on what it is today, but what was it before? And so, increasing that, working with Visit Stockton and others that, that's their area of expertise, but, maybe we can enhance that, working with the historical societies, and showcasing, this is what Stockton, was, and then being proud of that, and then showcasing that for visitors and then for our residents, and engaging youth with that. And I think that will enhance, the presence of what the waterfront is, and create accessibility. So not just what it is as far as like, dining restaurants, but then it'll encourage folks to stop by, as far as like, as they're going through Stockton. And so I think that there's a lot that that can be done, and it goes hand in hand with her vision of the clean and safe Stockton.
Beautiful. And you mentioned the move for the city into the towers that are on the waterfront. So my question is, do you have a date set? Is there an official date yet?
So for the move, we've been told that it should happen within the next couple of months. So it could be 3 months or 4 months, but we don't. They have not given us an exact date. So we'll have to get back to you as soon as we have that. But that's what we've been told as of now.
Within the year, though. That's exciting.
Yeah, within
That's
the
been
year.
a project. Long
There
time
you go.
coming. We're ready.
Yeah, within the year.
Okay.
Mhm.
And with the city moving to the towers, can you tell us what are the mayor's plans for City Hall? What's her vision for what to do with historic City Hall?
Well, Mayor Fugazi, she's deeply committed to preserving the city hall and ensuring that it remains a valuable asset to the city. So her vision is really to like repurpose the space and honor the historical significance while serving the community. So maybe, there obviously preservation efforts, exploring options for cultural, education, community uses, maybe a museum, community center, an incubator. And so having public engagement, gathering input on the building's future use from residents, and like we talked about, like folks in the from the historical side, from the museum side, and ensuring that along with residents have input on what the community needs and what the values are. And then obviously along with that, there will be a need for funding for restoration, to pursue state and federal grants for the historical preservation, and explore partnerships with organizations that are interested in the adaptive reuse of the city hall, because it is a beautiful place. It just needs to be restored. And so she's, definitely trying to balance that need, and then respect, the heritage of Stockton, and ensure that it remains a dynamic part of the city's future.
Beautiful. Happy to hear it. It is such a beautiful building. Would love to see a gallery and museum, maybe even some kind of concert hall or something go in there, something that could encourage the arts even more in downtown, but really good news about preservation. Awesome. So last week, Harry Black resigned as the city manager for Stockton, and Will Crew is the interim city manager. What can you tell us about the search for a new city manager? Are you going to be looking nationwide? And what are some of the qualities that city council is looking for in a new city manager candidate?
Okay, so our Mayor Fugazi and the City Council, they're committed to conducting a thorough and transparent process to identify the best candidate for Stockton's next city manager. And the leadership transition, it presents an opportunity really to align city management with the mayor's and council's vision for Stockton's future. So the thing there that what in terms of the process, first there's a formation of an ad hoc committee that's formed with the mayor and two city council members to oversee the search process. They then select a search firm, and they collaborate with the search firm to, and this is the ad hoc committee, and they work closely with the firm to form the outline qualifications, the criteria, ideal candidate profile. Then they narrow down the pool of candidates after the interviews take place. They identify the top candidates. The city council then interviews the candidates, and they do a thorough background check upon selection of the finalists, to ensure that the candidates' professional history and integrity are aligned with the city's needs. And really understanding as far as the national search for the new city manager, would be understanding Stockton's scale and complexity, really, because the search will prioritize the candidates who understand the complexities of managing Stockton being the 11th largest city in California, 57th largest in the nation, and Stockton's size requires a city manager with experience managing large-scale municipal operations and addressing urban challenges. And some of the things that they're looking for are going to be, some key qualities and leadership traits: proven leadership, strong financial acumen, commitment to equity and inclusion, focus on economic development, climate and infrastructure awareness, community-centered leadership, and visionary planning. Those are some of the key core elements that they're looking for with the city manager.
Okay. Thank you for giving us insight into that search. It's going to be really interesting seeing the results and, seeing what types of candidates come through to serve our city. Interesting, very interesting. So speaking of committees, Stockton has various boards and commissions. Are there any open positions on committees or boards at the moment for which members of the public can apply? So anyone listening could go and, apply to be one of those people.
Yes, so open seats. There's open seats, and the mayor strongly encourages for the public or residents to go to our city's website and see which available positions are there and to submit their applications. So strongly encourage that, and there are some open positions. The mayor will be expanding committees in addition to the existing boards and commissions. She will be adding additional committees in the future to ensure like a broader community involvement and engagement. They will be the new committees will be tailored to addressing emerging issues and priorities for Stockton. And so she is committed to these committees reflecting Stockton's diverse population, with seats for individuals from various backgrounds, sectors, neighborhoods. And so this is going to be encouraging that we have diverse participation. So those are our existing committees, and then what she'll be expanding as far as new committees.
Wonderful. So if that seems interesting to you, check out the link right here and see if you might want to join one of those boards or committees. All right, wonderful. So can you tell us now, will the mayor be holding regular office hours, or how can people listening get in touch with Mayor Fugazi if they want to ask her questions or communicate with her?
Sure. So Mayor Fugazi, she's deeply committed in staying in contact with the community, and she really believes that the residents, to meeting them where they're at, rather than waiting for them to come to her. And, her office is always open, and she's, transparent in that way and always ready to engage with the people of Stockton. She's always ready to engage. Like, I've been with her, so she will, talk to all folks that, that want to engage with the mayor. But that being said, she has her office open. So it's not like a specific set of hours, just when the city hall is open. And that's versus that just traditional hours. She'll also, in addition to that, will have town hall meetings in different districts across Stockton. The town halls are going to cover various topics, including public safety, education, and this in essence providing a direct way for residents to voice their concerns and share their ideas with the mayor. And she wants to hold these events in neighborhoods, like I said, across the city, to ensure accessibility to all residents, no matter where they live, making it easier for the people to attend and participate. The mayor is committed to meeting them where they are, and having the town halls and other public forums. And then we here, in terms of our staff, Lynn Smith, she's been with the city for 18 years. And so she knows that institutional knowledge that she has helps to ensure what the city has, and in terms of what the processes are and what the residents, may need, and helping guide them, through that process. So there's different channels of communication to reach the mayor's office through the phone, calls, emails, social media. We have Lanisha Ward, who's our PIO, who will be, handling all the different social media channels. So again, the mayor, she's mayor's office is open for business, and she's most definitely committed to the residents. So she doesn't see it as the community coming to her, but she's going to the community. And she encourages active communication and reaching out to her for any kind of questions, concerns, feedback, attending the town hall meetings, coming, if you can't attend the town hall, coming to her office, and or calling, emailing, like I said, all those different public input and lines of communication. She is open to that, and she's highly accessible. And she's going to again have the additional committees, and so she wants to remain in touch with the community and the community's needs and the community's priorities.
Wonderful. Okay, so everyone listening, you've heard it. You can stop by City Hall if you want to talk with the mayor. You can attend a town hall meeting, if you're up to date on when those are occurring, or you could send an email. We have the email up here. And Esperanza, can you share with anyone where they can learn about the town hall meetings? What page should they go to?
So they'll be posted. We're in the process of getting those organized, but they will be posted on the City of Stockton website, and specifically on the mayor's page.
Wonderful. Okay. So another opportunity where people can kind of make their opinions known or ask questions are city council meetings. Can you let everyone know when those city council meetings are, in case they're unfamiliar, and how people can make a public comment if they'd like to?
Sure. So they can attend the city hall meetings Tuesdays 5:30 at the city hall, and so that is on the second floor. And they can make a public comment in person, participation, and during the meeting they submit a speaker card to the city clerk, and they can speak on ideas, concerns, opinions, items that are on the agenda. And, when they fill out the card, if they need any help, staff can assist with that. And as far as remote participation, you can also view the city council meetings taking place from remotely. And in addition to that, there is an opportunity for those folks who do not speak the English language. So Stockton is a very diverse community. And so now there are translation services fully accessible to our residents. And that's really key and important, because I think previously we didn't have our residents who were monolingual in other languages other than English. And so that prevented them from engaging and not providing input to our city. And so that's very important to the mayor's office. And she encourages folks from other languages to be able to come and share their voice in this public space at the city council meetings. And they're designed specifically for public engagement. And in this case, we're now, the city is able to offer these translation services, which is going to open up the opportunity for the majority of our residents that are not English speaking.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. So thank you for sharing how people can, get in touch with Christina, Mayor Fugazi, and make a public comment if they're interested. So I have one last question about the mayor before we shift into some questions about your role as the Chief Policy Advisor. So my last question is, at the end of her term, what lasting impact does Mayor Fugazi hope to see on the day-to-day life of Stockton residents and businesses?
Well, some of the her original concerns and her priorities of improving public safety is one of her top priorities across Stockton, improving that with community policing, ensuring that every resident feels safe in their neighborhood, whether they're at their home or in their public spaces. And then clean streets and public spaces. She's, focused on improving the city's cleanliness and enhanced street maintenance, more green spaces, better waste management, and, along with the public space component, one of the things that that we didn't touch upon earlier, but has to do with animal welfare and making sure that the city is committed, to improving that for our residents and, for, their fur babies as well, and making sure that that is also like a short-term and long-term goal, and making that residents feel prideful of the city of Stockton, create a stronger local economy with business growth and job creation, create an environment where businesses, especially like I said, small businesses can thrive. Her administration, we're going to work hard to attract new businesses and create those living wage jobs and support entrepreneurship, within the context of the city hall as well as outside in the private industry. And that's one of the commitments, that she has as well. The downtown revitalization, with like what we talked about, a vibrant waterfront, commercial centers throughout Stockton, and providing more opportunities for local businesses to increase, Stockton's regional competitiveness here, within the region of the Valley as well. So then in terms of that community engagement, that's, to increase what is our quality of life. Inclusive growth, to foster inclusive community where everyone, regardless of their background, has access to opportunities and resources, access to amenities that we talked about, more public pools, recreational facilities, better public transportation to improve Stockton's residents access to quality amenities and services. We do have great public transportation, but anything to enhance that so that we can create access for all of our residents. And so she wants to lay this foundation for a stronger, more connected Stockton where residents feel proud of their city, businesses thrive, and communities are safer and more vibrant. That's what the long-term goal is for Mayor Fugazi.
Amazing. A lot of work to be done, a lot of priorities being set, but the results are going to be wonderful to see. So looking forward to it. Awesome. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about your role now, Esperanza. Okay, so you have the title of Chief Heat Policy Advisor, and this is the first time that someone has had this role in our city. Last year, the city of Stockton had over 40 days where we had 100 degrees or more. So it gets very warm here. Can you tell us what led to the formation of this role and why it's so critical for our community?
Sure. So this is also part of the commitment of Mayor Fugazi in the creation of the Chief Heat Policy Advisor. And it's been created as part of Stockton's growing recognition, like you just said, of the severe risks that are posed by extreme heat. There are 10 chief heat officers or advisors of different names of sorts throughout the United States. So this would be the 11th in the United States. The other one in California is Los Angeles, Marta Segura. And so those chief heat officers were created with the assistance of a foundation in trying to do exactly this, right, is to look at those risks that are posed by extreme heat. And so Mayor Fugazi, in us working together and trying to create this role to address those issues, as far as like also bringing attention that Stockton has a need to mitigate what the extreme heat that we currently face, like you said, for long periods, and then this is only worsening due to climate change. So the response for Mayor Fugazi is recognizing and focusing on the leadership and the development, implementing strategies to mitigate and adapt heat related challenges. It's critical because of the health risks, right? The extreme heat, particularly for our most vulnerable populations, such as the elderly, children, and those with health conditions, and the impact on our livelihoods, the ag industry, and that heat stress that's caused on crops and yields. Climate resilience, the city is going to, in terms of proactively addressing challenges that are posed by rising temperatures and working in creating a more climate resilient community. This is like the reason that it was all created, and the mayor's commitment to impacting change with the creation of this role. And so then that's where we're at with the why the role was created.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and the heat really does impact so many pieces of our community. What is something that you think people might be surprised to know about high temperatures or heat policies?
So the high temperatures and heat policies, what happens is that it heightens the risk for those with pre-existing health conditions and vulnerable communities, like I had said, like the seniors and the children. So asthma, heart disease, they're at a heightened risk during this time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's and like you said, there were last year there was 40 days with 100-degree temperature or higher, and that increases folks going into the emergency room visits, hospitalizations due to the heat stress and dehydration, and the impact, like we said, on agriculture, and that fluctuation affects the different yields, and then the labor challenges for those who work outside, the from the ag labor, that they have the risk of heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and also that's so those are big impacts for others that work outside, in terms of like roofing, construction. That's the labor challenge that you have. Even folks that are doing walking or any kind of like outreach activity that's outside, you're impacted by the heat. You're not able to work past a certain hour, whether that's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, depending on what the heat is that day. um, and the homeless population is impacted. It's particularly vulnerable during the heat events. And so, there are some cooling centers where people can go to during the day. And this is to lessen the threat of heat exhaustion or heat stroke. And so, the one of the components that we would be working on is expanding those cooling centers and outreach programs to provide refuge for the people who are living outside during the heat waves. And so the urban heat island effect is basically, that's what we are, as far as like those Stockton high temperatures that are exasperated overall and throughout the neighborhoods. And it's trapped. The heat gets trapped because we have an abundance of concrete asphalt and we are limited in green space. And so then that's, where the urban heat island takes place, is that we don't have enough green space to combat that. And so, like you said, and many people don't realize that over time, this prolonged exposure can, lead to different health-related illnesses, and that cumulative effect can stress the healthcare system. Besides the person, the system, emergency needs, and just disrupting our daily lives. And so I think that folks sometimes don't know like how that is, with the heat and the interaction with the air quality. Usually during those times, it's not good, to do outdoor activities. So that's some of the things that I think that sometimes aren't highlighted, that people are aware of, other than feeling the effect of the heat, as an individual person.
Definitely. And also, an increased risk of fires. We do have a lot of fires that happen throughout, in buildings throughout our community, and those are dangerous as well. So now that you're in this position, what are your immediate plans or priorities?
So in terms of immediate plans, is develop a heat action plan as one of the first priorities, implement comprehensive plan for the city that'll involve coordinating that with the public, health officials, emergency responders, community organizations, so that we're able to respond quickly and effectively to heat emergencies. Again, increase the cooling centers and shelters, expanding those centers, and ensuring that homeless populations or others who don't have HVAC systems in their homes are supported during these extreme heat events. We are we are going to be able to do this because there are already those systems in place. But in terms of the expansion, we have the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. So they have a lot of programs, they have a lot of grants and opportunities for organizations to access. And so to create more of those cooling centers so that we can have shelter for folks, especially during those extreme heat events. Public education and awareness. We want to raise awareness, so a significant part of the work is going to be public education about the risks that we just talked about, that you just said, with extreme heat, especially for our vulnerable populations, and to ensure they know where to find the cooling centers. They know that they have different opportunities through, like I said, again, through like the air district where they can obtain for inside their home, air purifiers, and community engagement with the communities that are most at risk, during in terms of the community organizations that are already out there, working with them to conduct outreach campaigns and partnerships with these local organizations in multilingual resources. We talked about that language barrier. And so making sure that they know that there's tools already out there available to them, like through the Valley Air, that will tell them what the not the temperature, but what the air quality is outside. And like you said, besides like the fires, in terms of like folks being able to go outside and what kind of activities they should and shouldn't do and when. And so that community engagement is key. And the long term, in terms of climate resilience, sustainable urban design, what we talked about with the green urban infrastructure that we don't have, that we need more of, with the green spaces, then that will mitigate the urban heat island effect. So then that's in terms of a long-term plan. And then policy advocacy to advocate state and federal policies supporting cities to address these health risks of extreme heat and provide funding for our climate adaptation strategies and changes. And farmer support, working with the ag leaders to develop strategies to, help protect from the extreme heat, better irrigation techniques. We have an ag tech summit that takes place, and bringing, that's one of the challenges that they face, and then bringing that up and seeing what can be done, and working with the air district as well, with the individual residents and farmers. So prioritizing these efforts to build a more heat resilient Stockton that will protect the health and the well-being of our residents, and ensuring the sustainability of our economy, and particularly, like we said, in ag and those labor related work environments where labor is outside. And so that's, as far as the short and long-term plans that we have as of now, for this role.
It's so important, it's so needed in our community, and especially with it just getting more hot, more days over 100 degrees every year. It's just really important, like you said, especially for those people who are outside in it, I'm really excited to see all of these strategies being put into place. And I wanted to know if you could share with viewers any like heat preparation or safety recommendations. I know it's not hot right now.
Yeah.
But in a few months, it will be. So can you share any recommendations with our viewers?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, like some of the like basics is hydration is key, to avoid caffeine or alcohol, especially on those hot days, because you want to have plenty of water, and have that with you throughout the day, before, during, and after being outdoors. And obviously, if possible, try to stay indoors during the peak hours of the day, the hottest part of the day, being between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., and try to limit the physical activity, because I think a lot of people think, you might be real fit and you can go outside and do all these things, but the heat really does, have a wear and tear, like we talked about, in terms of that component. So trying to avoid the hottest part of the day, and especially, for our vulnerable communities, like we talked about, elderly and the people who have underlying health conditions, or they're pregnant, and our fur babies too, like a lot of people, oh my gosh, I've seen them like walking outside, and those little paws, it's just like, that they can't, you have to like understand, what the heat temperature is. It might feel okay for us, but then, when you touch the sidewalk or the cement, that's not something that that our fur babies can handle. So that's another thing, is that they're part of our community as well. And then checking the Valley Air app. It's there's a free app that you can get on your iPhone or Android, and it'll tell you the level of outdoor activity. That's a go-to for a lot of us. And, amplifying that message is going to be key in letting people know about that. And there's a lot of things on there, like I said, incentives, in-room air purifiers, going to the Valley Air page. There's also, fans and air conditioning, but sometimes people don't have that. So working with the programs, especially for our low-income residents, with the heat program, where they can go and maybe obtain assistance if they qualify. And then obviously wearing light, loose fitting clothing, avoiding dark colors, and then checking in, on our neighbors. Take a moment to check in on your elderly family members, neighbors, and make sure that they're doing okay and they're keeping cool. And then recognizing what heat illness is, watching for signs for heat exhaustion or heat stroke. So you have dizziness, excessive sweating, rapid pulse, nausea, confusion. And so if someone shows those signs, calling 911 immediately, but knowing what those signs are. So a lot of this is going to be, public messaging, but these are some of the just basics as far as recommendations that I would say.
Yeah, great tips. It can sneak up on you too if you started out in the morning, it wasn't so bad, but then you're outdoors for several hours. It can really hit you and it can be so dangerous. So thank you for sharing all those recommendations for people to prepare this summer.
Yeah, sure.
So I have just two more questions about heat policy specifically. I wanted to know, will any of the work that you're doing target downtown Stockton specifically?
Yeah, so basically, we'll be, looking to see what we can do, like we talked about, in terms of what the urban landscape looks like, and looking how we can increase the green space. Well, we talked about there's a lot of, areas that don't have any kind of canopy or what have you. So we want to increase that green space, tree planting initiatives, getting cooling infrastructure, like we talked about the cooling centers, and seeing how we can help provide that access in downtown, building retrofits on downtown buildings, with heat resistant materials, green roofs, cooling technologies, heat resistant buildings that they'll reduce the heat and they'll absorb that in the area of downtown. And like we talked about some of these other components in terms of targeting for downtown Stockton, but for all of Stockton, public awareness campaign to inform people about the risks of extreme heat and ways to stay cool, and the location of the cooling centers. And so that'll be for all of Stockton, but especially downtown Stockton. And then so whatever we can do to help mitigate that, and in the public awareness campaign, but then also being able to obtain funding for some of the other components that has to do with retrofitting, that has to do with the green spaces. And so those are some of the things, that the strategies that we would have for the downtown area.
Beautiful. Yes, would love to see more trees, would love to see more green space, and it serves a good purpose too. So
Yeah.
So why are you so excited to take on this role, and what kind of long-term impact do you want to have?
Well, I'm really excited. I'm really thrilled and thankful for the opportunity to work on innovative solutions to combat the heat. When integrating climate change adaptation with community health and economic development, I mean, that is, the work that I previously did, and integrating it all together and being able to really make some changes to create a safer and healthier community, helping Stockton, becoming safer and healthier, particularly, like I said, for at-risk populations that experience, heat in a different way. And so that motivates me. Building a long-term resilience, offering a chance to shape policies that's going to make Stockton a more heat resilient in the long term, and helping future generations that will thrive in this changing climate. And then, providing that component as even a workforce development piece. So not just as receiving, the information, but also like being a part of it. And so then in terms of the lasting and long-term impact, creating a sustainable cooling infrastructure to establish a robust network of cooling centers, green spaces, green infrastructure, and provide residents with consistent and accessible ways to safely access this and to stay safe during extreme heat. And then also to build public awareness to ensure that the public understands heat safety and awareness, and that's embedded in our community culture, and to create that community where everyone understands the risks and how to stay safe regardless of their background or their socioeconomic status, ensuring that we have ag sustainability, that our community is able to adapt to extreme heat, and then safeguarding our local food supply. And that's going to contribute to Stockton's long-term economic health and stability. And lastly, influencing state and national heat policy, ensuring that the lessons learned here in Stockton were able to contribute to a broader state and national heat policy, showcasing successful strategies that reduce heat impact in urban areas. And Stockton can lead by example, setting a precedent for other communities facing similar challenges with all these like different innovative ideas, and even adding, lessening the impact with our electrical output, so that way we have additional microgrids with solar so that we can lessen that impact, but really leading the effort so that Stockton can become a model for heat adaptation and creating a safer and more sustainable environment for all of our residents.
Beautiful. What an impact. I can't wait to see what that impact looks like for Stockton and the results. Maybe we'll have you back in a couple of years and see all the great work you've been able to do. Thank you, thank you. So I have just a few questions now about downtown Stockton, since your offices are down here. So I'd like to know, what do you love about downtown Stockton today, and what potential do you see for downtown in the future?
Well, today I love downtown Stockton. I love the vibrancy, the diversity, and there is a strong sense of like community pride with the local businesses here. And in terms of the future, to have it even be more vibrant hub for art and culture, enhancing our small business commerce, and also to become a regional destination and a center for local business, have an explosion of new businesses and restaurants, art galleries, walkable green downtown. And so with more like parks and flourishing economies, both for our residents and our visitors. That's what I see in terms of for the future.
Wonderful. And right now, what are some of your favorite downtown Stockton lunch spots, and what do you like to get there?
Let's see. In terms of the downtown Stockton, for Misaki is one of my favorite. And then, well, I'm limited because I have a gluten allergy. So otherwise,
Careful.
Yeah, exactly. But Misaki's is one of my favorite because I have a lot of choices there, and everything that that I can get that's like basically like on the raw side, since nothing like fried would have you. But I would say like the spicy salmon or spicy tuna rolls are like my favorite there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they have such good rolls. So good. I love their sauce. Oh my gosh. Wonderful. And this next question, this is about Cafe Co-op. So you were the founder of a downtown co-working business, and I wanted you to just share, is this Cafe Co-op still in operation here in downtown Stockton?
So the Cafe Co-op or the Cafe Coop is in operation and has been in operation, and is located actually on the Miracle Mile. And so it moved from downtown Stockton to the Miracle Mile. And so, yes, they are still using the space, different freelancers and startups, nonprofits. And so we work with the Small Business Development Center. And so it's still ongoing, and there's access there for folks to utilize like a conference room space. And then we work with different entities, with the Air District, the biggest project that we worked on most recently was with the PepsiCo Frito-Lay project, and that was in Modesto, and that was with the first, Tesla semi-trucks that rolled out. So then working with that sustainability factor, and then working with startups, early stage startups, and getting them access to the different resources. Like I said, especially with Small Business Development Center, and making sure that they have that, because it's like with us, they start in preschool, kindergarten, and then they go on to K through 12, onto college with SBDC, because they have a lot more resources. So we work together with them, and then also working with the Innovation Hub of San Joaquin, and being a part of that, and the different programs that we have there with the H2O hackathon. We help to establish that with along with the other members of the iHub, and then on the Ag Tech Summit as well. And so then, yes, we're still working on all those components within those contexts of the with the iHub, with SBDC, and then those various programs. Like I said, especially like the H2O hackathon that'll be taking place in May. So we're still going, but our offices are there with in the Miracle Mile.
Beautiful. It's beautiful to hear that something that, was kind of incubated and curated in downtown is still, growing and thriving, even if it's on the Miracle Mile now.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So my last question is, how can people get in touch with you if they want to ask you questions? They have concerns, they just want to communicate with you about what's going on, in your neck of the woods. Can you let them know how to get in touch with you?
Sure. So either a phone call with calling our office here at the mayor's office, or through email. And I don't know if you have my email address there. Okay. My email, or in person, even just like stopping by. So email, in person, and or a phone call is probably the easiest and best way in order to get in touch with me.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much for answering all of my questions. Those are a lot of questions, so thank you. And now, viewers, let's see if you guys have any questions for Esperanza. It looks like we do have quite a bit of comments and questions, so let's see. Are you ready? How do you feel? Prepared? Okay.
Yeah.
Take a breath. All right. So, audience questions. Here we go. All right, so this is a great question, and it ties into something that you already talked about. This is from Stockton on Facebook. The question is, are there plans to engage and educate communities about the benefits of trees for heat reduction?
Absolutely. And I think that the community members themselves, and especially Tree Stockton, would be most beneficial. Like I talked about earlier in our engagement process, we want people who know their area of expertise, and then to help in that process. So it's not necessarily coming from us because we don't know everything. We need to engage with the community. So I most definitely want to invite and engage with them to help educate the community about the benefits as part of our campaign to especially like mitigating heat. So call me up and we can plan on that.
Wonderful. All right, thanks for your question. And here is the next one. This is from Sue Colin Bradford. The question is, what plans are there to bring back an urban forest management program where our trees will be cared for? Can you speak on this one?
I can, in terms of finding out more about that, I would be like open to that, so we could see what is that, what did it look like, and then what do we need to do to move forward. So definitely invite a conversation with Sue on that, and that way we could see what we could do. But it sounds like if it was a great program before, then maybe it's something that we can implement for the future. So most definitely open to that. So again, contact me and let's talk about it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sue. Okay, this next question is from Katya Evanho on Facebook. Question is, we need the city of Stockton to commit to a citywide tree policy and a commitment to citywide tree canopy. What are your plans for tree planting and maintaining trees, especially heritage tree canopy for Stockton?
So thank you for the question. And again, that's something that we most definitely need to do. And so how we do it and when we do it and we lay out that plan, again, I want to invite you to be part of that plan. So let's get together and see what we can do, and we can present that forth, on a citywide level, with our council and with our staff, and then also to see what we can do as far as like obtaining funding to get that done if that's going to be a need. So looking at what we currently have and then what we need to do. So absolutely love the question, and whatever we need to get done, again, let's do it. So hit me up so we can start working on that as well.
All right. Thank you, Katya, for your question. And so this is another question from Sue on Facebook. And you did touch on this earlier, but maybe you can kind of reiterate what some of these were. The question is, I'd like to hear about climate resiliency plans.
So in terms of part of the plan, like we talked about, is integrating the urban design. So what does the urban design mean? And then adding green to that. What is in terms of the roofing? What can we do with that as far as, the green roofs or other type of materials that need to be utilized for that? I mean, that's like the beginning stages as far as like what the, resilience plans are in order to create that landscape here in the city of Stockton. What is it that we're missing? And we're going to have to do an assessment of what that is. So again, not having like all the answers for that at the moment, but creating that with the community members that we have, again, that are experts in this area, and bringing others from the outside. So maybe inviting you to definitely share some ideas, but we those are some of the immediate most pressing needs that we can see, but there might be some others out there that other cities. So looking at what other cities have done, and then welcoming you to the conversation so that we can get our city up to par.
All right. Yeah, so looking to other cities for examples, seeing
Mhm.
what's worked there. And I imagine it's also a little tricky to measure, the impact once you put in something in place. It's probably really interesting deciding what to measure and how to measure it. So looks like there's some opportunities there. Thank you, Sue. And so this is another question from Katya. She would just like to know more about this position. Can you please define the role of Chief Heat Policy Advisor? What does the Heat Policy Advisor do? Just in case anyone missed in the beginning.
Okay. So in terms of the Chief Heat Policy Advisor, in terms of policy, we're still doing like all the policies that I'm working with the mayor's office, but specifically with just to summarize on the chief heat part of it, is mitigating the urban heat that we have, and what are the different ways that we can do that, and then providing solutions to that with community input.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Katya. Okay, so this is a question here on YouTube. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how to read the name. Oh, yeah. Sure, if you need a break.
Sorry.
Well, no worries.
I was grabbing my charger. Okay.
No worries at all. So the question is, are there any initiatives for supporting youth in Stockton?
Yes, absolutely. So the mayor is committing to supporting youth in Stockton, especially by providing them with, we said about the outlets with regards to the recreational component, but really, as youth, you need, access to internships and to job opportunities. So working with what the city currently has now, expanding on that for especially summer youth employment, internships, and, working with the state has different programs that we want to work with the youth and supporting that. There's also workforce development, and workforce development has a lot of programs, and we're going to be working hand in hand with them. And then also, with any other organizations that are providing those resources for youth. So not only on the recreational side, but then really giving them the opportunity, because we want our youth to stay here and to thrive, and, not have to necessarily, move out of town to obtain a job, whether they go to university or not. It depends on, what they want as far as a career pathway, and including that. I mean, the Port of Stockton is, just received a huge amount in terms of grant money for their infrastructure on their electrification blueprint plan. And so then that being said, integrating the youth, I mean, there's a lot of folks that are committed to our youth, and it's a matter of now, the city, the mayor's office, working with them closely so that we can amplify that and get our youth plugged into all of those components.
Beautiful. Thank you for your question about the youth. And the same person has another question. So this question is, are there plans to encourage cultural activities and tourism in Stockton? Great question.
So in terms of the cultural activities, there's a lot of cultural activities, but enhancing those cultural activities. And so in terms of encouraging them, and in terms of the tourism, absolutely. So what, we need to do in order to bring Stockton, up to par and highlighting Stockton. And we do have a lot of things that are going on now, but really bringing us, to the limelight. And so any activities that we can do to attract tourism and working with Visit Stockton. Again, we want to go back to the folks that, this is at the forefront of their agenda. This is what their engagement model is. And so then doing so. And again, we encourage input. So any kind of input that you have, and, meetings that you want to have with us to give us, additional ideas, we're here to listen.
Wonderful. All right, thank you for your question. And 1 second, sorry. We've got a comment here from Nate Knott. Okay, so he says, Mayor Fugazi and Esperanza Vielma make a dynamic team to promote Stockton economic development. They will collaborate with local and statewide investors to bring new local, small, and sustainable, larger businesses. They will endeavor to create root solutions with local agencies, organizations, and residents to provide complete housing with wraparound services to bring in long-term homeless reduction. So the next sentence gets cut off, but I'll try to start it. So Fugazi, SB, and administration will provide smart and effective environmental policies. Thank you, Nate, for the comment.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, you guys are doing such great work. Excited to see, the outcomes. Okay, we've got a couple more comments and questions. So let's go with, all right, we've got another question here. Oh. All right, so this is from the same individual on YouTube. Are there any plans to involve local businesses or organizations in implementing the heat policies? So you mentioned a couple, maybe you can expand more.
So in terms of the local businesses, yes, there's different organizations that work with local businesses. So then, going through them, and also just in terms of what I said earlier, having that public campaign to involve the businesses and the different organizations, that already work within the field of environmental justice, Catholic charities, and then there's others that are already working within that context. And so then to involve those organizations to provide input as we move forward in implementing the policy. And like I said, so individual businesses, but then also the business organizations that they're a part of, whether it's the Stockton Greater Chamber, the Asian Chamber, Hispanic Chamber, African American Chamber, the iHub, and there's many others, but that's just off the top of my head as far as engaging them and getting the input from the businesses. And then just us in terms of our campaign, like I say, doing that call out in terms of that public outreach, because we really want input from both, businesses and organizations. Thank you. Wonderful. For the question.
Yeah, thank you. And this is another question from Sue on Facebook. Has this council had its goal setting yet? What are their priorities? Can you speak on that one?
The city council is setting forth like all of their goal setting, and I believe that they will be putting that out, in terms of, what the public is. So as far as like, I was speaking on what, the mayor's priorities are, and she's engaging with city council. So then they should have that forthcoming.
Okay, so not quite yet, but it should be coming soon.
Correct.
All right, thank you for the question. And I know that there's a couple of more, let's see. I think it's in this section. So on Instagram, we had a couple of comments and questions. This one here is from Xandra Palma. And this person says, yes, I agree regarding Christina's passion for the community back at the start. Awesome. Thank you for the comment. And this is a question on Instagram from Alvina Gutierrez. And the question is, how can we increase funding and grants for Stockton Arts Commission? Good question.
So in terms of increasing the funding and grants, we will be working with the grant writers from the city, but our office as well. We understand, what that means as far as obtaining grants. So in terms of doing that search, whether it's through the state, obviously county, local, but state and federal, and then through other entities, agencies, and or different institutions that offer grants, we're going to be looking to help increase the funding. It's very key, very important, and art needs to be integrated, like we said, into all components as we move forward and provide any change in landscape, what have you. So that's how we plan on providing. Increasing the funding, making sure we're out there and making folks aware that this is one of the priorities that we have and that we want to increase the funding. And we can do so also, like I said, with our state legislators and federal, besides the actual grants that exist in and of itself.
Beautiful. Great information and great question. Thank you. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to on that last question that had to do with the priority settings. It is going to the council along with mayor will be setting priorities February 12th, and then so that's going to be taking place. That's when they're going to be doing that. So, well, in terms of like that's going to be 12 to 12:30 to 5. So yeah.
Yes, it looks like Mayor Fugazi went ahead and shared that information with us.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is really interesting. A public priority setting. Really, really interesting. I hope that answers your question, Sue. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like we have gone through quite a bit of the questions here. And I think I'll end on a comment. Okay, a couple of comments from Nate Knott. Thank you, Nate. So he says, pools and active recreation are on the verge of a big renaissance in Stockton. Wonderful. I'm excited to see it, aren't you? All right, and then the last question we have here, or last comment we have here is from Nate as well. And he says, the show is providing us with a wealth of knowledge, strategies, and solutions. Wonderful. Thank you, Nate, and thank you, Esperanza, for answering all of my questions as well as all of the viewer questions. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in, for putting in your comments. Is there anything that you would like to share before we wrap up?
Again, I just want to welcome our residents to the mayor's office, and the mayor is accessible. We're accessible. So, send us an email, contact us on social media, or, a phone call. And again, we're happy to meet with you and happy to listen and to get feedback so that we can move forward and regenerate and reinvigorate, the Stockton that we love.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for all the work that you're doing and all the work you continue to do. And thank you to Mayor Fugazi as well. Looking forward to working with you guys and witnessing the results of all of your beautiful plans. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. And I want to remind everyone that this video has been streaming live to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where we are at Downtown Stockton. So be sure to share it with anyone if you think they might, want to know some of this wonderful information that Esperanza has shared. And with that, I would just like to say thank you so much and have a great day downtown.